Welcome to another edition of the Wonderbury podcast.
I'm Brian,
And I'm Dave.
and you can find us online at wonderbury.com.
You find me on YouTube and Twitter at Open Darkwing.
And you can find me on MySpace hanging out with my old buddy Tom. We have a awesome special guest with us today. His name's Chris Thurber. He's a co-host of the Hallway Transgressions podcast. He's a master of machine learning. A resident Elon Musk fanboy.
And Tesla owner.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that great introduction.
Well, good morning, everybody.
I don't know what to do with that.
We completely threw you off. Dave, you want to plug about where we can find you online?
Yeah, you can find me online at hallwaytransgressions.com. Nowhere else, just there.
Just that.
Awesome. Just
Yeah,
there.
You got banned from TikTok.
I did. I didn't even do anything wrong.
You got banned from TikTok?
Apparently.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't have a story. It just happened. Just one day. I was a little late this morning because I woke up and turned my laptop on and it started playing Rolling in the Deep, just like really loud, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Then I was thinking about it and I realized it was just Adele.
Was that a joke?
That was my dad joke.
That's a very techy dad joke.
Chris, you gotta have children. For
You
dad
told me to
jokes work.
pick a really bad joke.
Well, do you know, Chris? Do you know when bad jokes? Do you know how to tell when a bad joke becomes a dad joke?
When?
It becomes apparent.
Oh, we're full of them this morning. You know what a DJ's favorite sauce is, right? Marinara. Oh, well, it's a good thing nothing's happened in the world of social media the last few weeks.
Ow.
I'm glad I already used the restroom.
I don't know which is overshadowing which. Meta losing a quarter of its share value, or Elon Musk absolutely 4channing Twitter.
What a description.
Well, it's the best way that I've learned to explain Elon Musk. Elon Musk is what happens when the B-boards on 4chan have money. You get Elon Musk. There are some things that he does that tries to make the world a better place, but he just can't help himself in making the world burn. And that's where Anonymous has come from. That's where a lot of these groups that are just absolute troll factories, and then every once in a while they'll get something right. And it almost makes you forget what an absolute garbage pile of human beings they are. But yeah, I don't know which one's going to overshadow which, but it finally went through. Elon Musk has purchased Twitter, immediately fired people that were running it, and from what I could tell, asked to meet with developers with printed out code. That was interesting.
because he brought some Tesla engineers over to review code?
Hey,
Yeah.
I know Brian and I have been around for a long time, and as social media has exploded up, and we've seen things fade away into the past. This feels different somehow than Facebook ballooning to take over MySpace. We were all here for the fall of Google Plus, which was doomed to begin because it was a non-core app from Google. Therefore, it was doomed to fail. I,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
This
and
feels
seeing
different
things
somehow.
like the original rise of like MySpace, how it rose and fell as as Facebook came along, and then some like there's handfuls of others that have come and gone too. Like even in the beginnings of the internet, things like how IRC was just basic socializing on the internet, even though it wasn't graphic at all. Like there was no interface to it. It was just all texting back and forth in group settings, but that all went away. It's still there, but it doesn't have the usage like what any of the other social medias do. But I also like to think about, like, when's the last time you heard about somebody hanging out at like a sock hop or a disco?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the nature of social hangouts. They come and go.
Yeah, my new building has this little old school like early 2000s forum board for all the residents to like post things. Like a really old looking, like it looks just like it hasn't been updated since 2003. You can post things that you're selling or if you need help with something or just like general like talk and chat and stuff. And I forgot how great forum boards just as a concept were. Like just how weird it is to have a conversation with someone in public just posting one after the other, and it could take hours for them to respond and other people can respond. Kind of miss forum boards. We should bring those back.
Oh, they're still around. The problem is that there isn't the instant. I mean, to me, Discord has kind of taken over the old forum boards because there's instant responses. And I think people are in a world where so much information has been pent up and you can Google something very quickly and get most answers that you need instantly. No one's going to sit around waiting unless, there's a few of them that have managed to stick around like Stack Overflow, but that's just because they have 40 years of information.
Yeah, and there's like a niche to it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like the instant chat as a way for socialization very much. It moves so like Discord especially, it moves so quickly and big like public servers. I feel like I just can't keep up. I don't know if it's just like my FOMO going into overdrive in my brain, like not being able to keep up with everyone's conversations as they happen just drives me almost insane.
Yeah, no, I feel that too. It's almost it's become overload. It's like I like drinking water, but I'm not going to stick my mouth around a fire hydrant. When it's coming at you too much and too fast, sometimes things need to move a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when my computer's not working and I need an answer, and I can go to, you know, a Discord server that is run by the developers of whatever app that I'm having problems with, and I can go to their support section, and there's instantly 20 people in there, the developer and 19 people who know the ins and outs of the software really well. I can ask a question and have instant communication back and forth that I don't have to get on a phone call with. I don't have to post and wait 2 days while my computer's not working for someone to see it and to post a response. I can get the help that I need immediately to then move on with what I'm doing. So I think there's times and places for each of them. I think the biggest problem is that people want a one location solution for everything. And so instead of things being different tools being utilized to the best of their ability, you're getting single tools that does everything about 70% well. And I think that's, and we're kind of conditioned to do that. You need to do stuff with social media. Here's the entire Adobe suite. It's a one-stop, one payment. You get everything you need all at once. And sometimes those aren't the best tools for the job. And instead of finding better tools and utilizing different tools together, we're starting to get conditioned to there's one tool that will sort of do everything.
Yeah, they're trying to build the super app like what's the app in China?
WeChat.
Yeah, WeChat. They're trying to build that same platform. I think Musk even tweeted after he bought Twitter that he was trying to build something, whatever. I don't know.
He wants to make X.
Yeah.
And that's the route that Facebook went. They switched everything over to Meta, and they were trying, obviously they're trying to go the VR route as well, but between WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, you got the marketplace, all this stuff, they're trying to make it a one-stop shop. And the problem with doing that, once again, is that when you make a multi-tool, they're very handy and they're very convenient, but I don't know a single mechanic that'll grab a Leatherman to fix his car. Because
I always keep one on me, though.
No, it's good to have it for the little things that you need to do where it can fit in there. But every single time, every tool on your Leatherman, a dedicated tool will perform better.
Yeah.
It's not as convenient, but it will always perform better.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Meta has gone wrong. I think that's where, Musk wants to turn everything into X. He's already talking about bringing back Vine, which since TikTok, I don't know if Vine could even be viable anymore.
Well, that's the thing is like TikTok is so popular. Everybody wants to compete against that. Like everybody sees what's happening now. And this has happened for years. They're like, oh, this is the new big thing. Like Facebook tried to do that when Twitter started to get popular. Like, oh, we need to make like short quips more popular. So that, they prioritized short quips over like the bigger, longer stories that they were doing. And so then, TikTok started getting big, and everything was like, we gotta do short video content. So, like Instagram has Reels and now YouTube has Shorts, and Musk is looking at that like we got to be able to compete. We got to bring back Vine. So
he is looking to make a one-stop shop. And I think he's trying to use X for that.
Yeah, and he's gonna get it spread out, and it's not gonna work. He's gonna run it like what Zuckerberg's doing with Meta, where it's gonna get spread out and nobody's gonna use those features. It's gonna be just a handful of people using those features, that isn't going to be worth what they put into it. And eventually they're going to put more into developing bigger new things than what they're going to get out of it, which is why the Meta stock is crumbling. They're putting a lot of resources into building the metaverse and not getting anything out of it. Nobody's using the metaverse, so they're just throwing money at the wall, and it's not sticking. While we're talking about Meta, can I read a quote that I found on Reddit? And I lost the attribution. I don't have the Reddit user for it.
Yeah.
It says, I believe in an interview that Tom Anderson once claimed people would spot him and approach him for a picture and then thank him for the happy memories they had from MySpace. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg had to testify in front of Congress, and everyone thinks he is a robot.
I don't know. It's
I'd get that in there while we were talking about Meta still.
I mean, like, but brings up the bigger point of MySpace didn't have a drive to always grow and get bigger and make more money, right? MySpace existed as a place for early 2000s teens and adults to hang out and build their own little personal page. There wasn't like very complex algorithm that was selling you ads to make money. Zuckerberg has a hard problem that he has to make a profit quarter over quarter, year over year, and always grow and keep growing and keep expanding and keep making money. Like, it's just like I've been arguing the past couple years that we need to think of these platforms as nation states. Like, they're countries. They have citizens, they make profits off of the citizens, and they give the citizens something in return. Like, there's more complex ways to define a nation state. There's a lot more that happens in the physical world. Like, defining them as just private companies, I don't think goes far enough for what's happening. Like, what they're doing is they're getting more and more users. Like, they're just colonizing our attention, right? Like, they're just trying to get more, like, us to spend more and more time on their platforms, look at more and more things, to get sold on more and more ads, to buy more and more things. They can't slow down and they can't stop. If they stop, they lose money. If they lose money, they get ousted by the board of directors. Like, it's just what happens. Or bought by Elon Musk. It's one or the other at this point, I guess.
Yeah, bought by Elon Musk, and then he dissolves the board of directors, so.
Well, he took a public company private, so there at some point, yes, private companies have private companies have board of directors, but most do not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was more of a reaction to it going private than anything else, because where he does have public companies, he has no problems having a board of directors.
Well, he has problems with the board of directors.
Well, yes, he has problems with board of directors, but he does not attempt to. I mean, is he CEO of anything anymore?
Yes and no. I don't know. The labels are weird, especially for public companies. I mean, he's in control of all of his companies. I don't think he calls him CEO on any companies. He's the Tesla Techno King is technically his official title for Tesla. However you want to define that, I guess.
Yeah, well. Isn't he calling himself the chief twit in charge or something over at Twitter now?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the title that was on his Twitter account, was Chief Twit. Yeah.
Oh no, he changed it. It's now the Twitter complaint hotline operator.
Right. That's pretty good. I got to give him that one.
So, speaking of colonizing and getting the revenue, he has a Saudi prince billionaire as an investor.
Everyone does these days.
Yeah. So he has, an oil baron as an investor. So that person's going to be used to getting that oil money. So they're going to be wanting oil money out of this. That's my concern. It's like what happens when they're not getting oil money out of this?
I don't think. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, fine. I think it's not necessarily. They want value out of it, right? Like it could be oil money out of it, but I mean, control is also valuable to the Saudi princes. Having control of a narrative is extremely valuable for. I mean, I guess I don't have to. I can generalize that more for people in power. Having control over the narrative is a big plus. I think what's so scary is I think it's safe to talk about the midterms now because it's so close and it's not months away. Like next week is the 2022 midterms in the US. And social media companies have been in the middle of a lot of controversy for the past few elections of disinformation just going absolutely insane. And it's an interesting time to buy a platform, fire a bunch of people. Hopefully it goes well.
Well, one thing that I found interesting, because once you look deeper than the surface hyperbole of what everyone says is going to happen versus what is actually happening, and that's something that is kind of missing a lot of times, is we listen to the smoke and we don't actually see what's going on. There was a lot of firings, especially in like the moderation side over at Twitter. Obviously people are going to get replaced that were running things because Musk did not like the way it was being run.
The firings included
people
the legal counsel, and the CEO, the CFO, and the legal counsel, which were the three big ones that pushed through the lawsuit when he tried to back out in the first place. And then he fired them with cause so they wouldn't get their severance package.
Right. And, that is on VPs and all that stuff. A lot of times that stuff gets shaken up because he wants his own people that he trusts to be in there. He doesn't want people that he feels would have a vendetta or has a vendetta. And that's fine. But he also said, and so far has in the week or whatever it's been, is that there's going to be a content moderation council with different viewpoints across the spectrum, and no major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council is put in place and convenes. And I think that if he is being serious about running this thing and it not going and descending into madness, which he has said over and over, while he does tongue-in-cheek talk about how, I don't think this is going to be the inmates running the asylum like so many people think it's going to be because of who Elon Musk is. I don't think I think he sees what's happened with Gab, what's happened with True Social, and he does want to make money with this. He doesn't just, and that's where we come back to the idea of the 4chaners. Every once in a while they do things that are a positive way. If we were to take everything that Elon Musk says and we apply it to SpaceX instead of Twitter, then why would we ever trust SpaceX? Except that he has shown that when he has a vision for something, he can make things happen. And what he's done is made space more accessible to more people. And that's, whether it is all SpaceX is making it more accessible, or they pushed a certain drive that is now springing up a lot of other small private rocket companies that is making it even more accessible for universities, for small CubeSats, for all these things are now, a community college can afford to send a CubeSat up for stuff for their students. Whereas a few years ago, that was unheard of because no one had the millions upon millions upon millions to throw away for that if they could even get rocket time. So I think seeing the steps that he is making, if you peel back the replacing everyone that was in charge, because obviously he did not like the way it was being run, which is why he ended up purchasing it in the first place. Once you peel back that layer, which happens almost anywhere where there's a takeover for one company to another, people get fired all the time. It's the other small things that are happening, or more importantly, not happening, that is kind of surprising me, and I'm seeing a little bit deeper in this. I don't necessarily see the doom and gloom of Twitter like a lot of people do. Yes, those hashtags and all of the chaos happened in the first few days, but the current moderation standards still applied. People were being banned. That stuff was taken down, not as fast as it could have happened because there's a lot of chaos going on. But, here we are a week out and that's still not happening. We're kind of back to Twitter as normal. So I'm not sure how much of it is smoke and how much of it is what is actually going on behind the scenes. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not an Elon Musk fanboy by any stretch of any imagination. But I'm not willing to just jump out because I don't like the guy personally, saying that he's going to absolutely destroy and tank a system.
Yeah. I'm going to put on my optimistic Dave hat here as well. And I also want to say that I have no stake in Twitter dying or living. I'm just here for the drama. Either way. I also don't have an account, so I'm not invested at all.
It's fun drama.
I'm down for the drama. But it is interesting to see that he started out this whole thing with a shit post and saying that he wants to make it he was a free speech absolutist. And it's very encouraging to see that he is no longer a free speech absolutist and will keep a content moderation, even if it is, depending if it is a diverse viewpoint or however he wants to define that. Having one is that he is backtracked on the free speech absolutism. That's probably for the best of the platform, as we could see from the chaos that started.
He did make a tweet about that. Let me see if I can find that.
He did tweet that being attacked by both right and left simultaneously is a good sign.
He's not wrong, because both sides do have their extreme attack dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Twitter. It's all about dunking on each other, right?
My opinion is I don't like Twitter. I don't like what it's kind of done for like politics in general and the polarization of politics, and the same with Facebook. So I'm just generally happy to watch them both crumble.
I mean, Facebook's been responsible for at least 2 coups, right? In different nations, at least, at the minimum.
Yeah, at least minimum, at least 2.
Yeah, he also said to make super
Dave and I
clear
watched
so
one
that
on. TV
Yeah.
Oh,
live in real
Um,
time.
Yeah, I was over at your house on January 6th. That was fun.
I wasn't even counting
was
that
fun.
one. 3 then.
So 3. 2 for sure, and 1 failed one.
Did it fail though? Like, honestly,
Ish.
It was
First
not.
try.
It was not as successful as they thought it was going to be. So I will say that it was a failure.
okay. That's a good definition.
Trump left office. Hundreds of people have been arrested and jailed.
Yeah.
There is
Not the
a renewed interest in keeping an eye on that shit now.
There's also a renewed interest in punching Nazis in the face. So
Yeah, that happened as well.
yeah,
So
and I'm here
he's
for
made
it.
very clear that with the Content Moderation Council that's coming, that there has been no changes to Twitter's content moderation policies yet, and there will not be until this convenes. So what was illegal on Twitter is still illegal on Twitter, if you want to put it that way. But there was something else that he had said that to clarify it on his open platform or whatever is that he cannot make it, or he cannot let it go in or fall into being a cesspool.
yeah.
Yeah,
So he's at least alert enough with that. And I don't know. One thing
I
that
think
Elon
what-
Musk does very, very, very well is drive competition in whatever space it's in. You know,
I think
Tesla
what
is not
happened-
the only electric car out there, but them pushing the electric car pushed other car manufacturers to up their game.
yeah. and
SpaceX
now-
isn't the only cheap space out there, but what he did is it pushed smaller companies to up their game.
And I had said this like 5 years ago too, is like now that Ford and GM are on their game with electric cars, he's gonna get an ass whooping because they have massive amounts of infrastructure and they have facilities everywhere. And GM's the Altium platform looks awesome, and I am excited for it. And their base level EV stuff is like 20 grand. So they're coming in hot, and they're gonna put a whooping on Tesla. And they don't their quality level is phenomenal. Like they aren't gonna have like the crazy panel gaps and shit like that, because they cleared those issues up, a century ago.
Yeah.
So
GM built the
I think-
Chevy Bolt, right?
yeah,
Well, they did, and that was but also I believe, if I recall correctly, the original Chevy Volt had a range of 70 miles.
Yeah. Also, it exploded.
but
Yeah.
think
And-
about you, Dave. Like if you had one of those and you were just plugging that in town, like when you got home, how often do you travel more than 70 miles?
Yeah, not often.
Yeah, not often.
But people balked at that. People could wrap their heads around, okay, an EV will last longer on a charge than my gas powered vehicle will last on gas before I have to fill up. And when you start applying the logic out that way, it suddenly becomes a lot more, it makes sense. It makes more sense to people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Tesla is the best or Tesla's going to be there forever. But what Tesla did was it showed that something else was possible.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll win in the end, just like I don't think SpaceX will be the best and only place for cheap rockets. But I don't think that we would have other companies popping up and pushing for that if it wasn't for SpaceX.
Yeah.
So, where Twitter seems to be going and Musk buying out Twitter, something came across with Jack Dorsey, who was the original co-inventor of, or co-founder of Twitter. Back before he left Twitter, he had talked about having a open and decentralized platform for social media and doing a standard protocol. And so he created Blue Sky, which is a public benefit corporation. Well, Blue Sky is now gaining a little bit of popularity, if you will, and has a sign up now for kind of an alpha or beta run. So it was conceived as a solution to the failures of Twitter, and it's not necessarily a new social media platform, but a way to allow the social media platforms intercommunicate a little bit more. And so it's been a very interesting kind of follow and read in looking at Blue Sky. Is it Blue Sky Social? bsky.app is the website for it.
Yeah, I went and signed up for the beta already. See if it was anything interesting.
But yeah, it looks like they're trying to kind of take and create a better protocol to try to fix a lot of the problems that are happening in social media. And normally I would just kind of balk at something like this, but Jack Dorsey has already proven that he can do something with something like this. And the fact that it's structured as a public benefit corporation instead of a private or a public corporation is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
You think,
Yeah, I'm interested to see what comes of that.
in your honest opinion, do you think decentralized social media protocols can go anywhere? Like when you take all the restrictions off and all the benefits that you get from the restrictions on having a closed platform, we have Mastodon and the whole ActivityPub protocol now, which hasn't gained much traction. It gets more and more every time there's a Twitter or Facebook controversy. Not a lot. I think they got 70,000 users signing up after Musk closed the deal on Twitter, which is a lot for them, but you never know how many people are going to turn into active users outside of that. But do you think Blue Sky has a chance because of how they've designed it?
I think that I think that it has a chance because of where things are going. Not 5 years ago, no, but private and even public-private companies that control so much is becoming an issue for a lot of people. And as younger people start pushing into the space more and more, they're looking for other solutions. It's one of the reasons, and this will refer back to, I don't know, sometime last month, one of the podcasts where we talked about NVIDIA or Dolby versus AV1 and having an open protocol that way. And I think that the resurgence of a more transparent system, and that's one thing that can come from a decentralized social network that way, is a lot more transparency. I think that is becoming more important. The information can still be there, but if you can see how the information is being curated, then you can actually have an informed position to start figuring out what you want to believe or what you can believe. If you don't have that information, that piece of information, then you just have to trust it based upon where it came from, and that can be kind of dangerous. And I think that people, especially the Gen Zers and younger, are looking for more information of where something came from, like where the, or not where it came from. But they want that extra piece of information of how it was curated. That is important to them. From what I've seen. And that's kind of where the way things seem to be heading toward. I don't know if that will be the way things end up, but it seems to me that things are going in that direction.
I like my sources to be peer reviewed. That's what I think is what we're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, they can be peer reviewed by the platform with a blue check mark.
Yeah, but you gotta pay $8.
I also
which is down from the 20 because of Stephen King, apparently.
Our king, our hero.
Hero, Stephen King.
I think that is going to turn into a more standard user versus premium user. I don't think the only benefits you'll get is a check mark.
Look,
I think that is going to be the beginnings of a paid tier for whatever X is going to turn out to be. I think that is just going to be introduced in so early that it will become standardized.
He said it would become, you would get prioritized like in feeds. You would get paywall bypass if publishers would work with them. And there was some other things like longer video forms and some other stuff he is probably just trying to make up to make it seem like it was worth $8 a month.
Those things have already existed, which is what was funny to me. Like, if you were verified, you appeared more at the top of feeds, and if you... Neighbor is drilling into my wall. I can hear it. Terrifying. It's probably fine. And there was already a product called Twitter Blue. It was like, I think it was $4 or $5 a month. It did paywall bypassing, and you got the edit button in beta or whatever. But he's just taking the verification tag, which of course had a lot of problems already. I liked his tweets where he said that he was taking it from being a thing for like the elite so that everyone could have it for $8 a month. And I just thought that was real. It was like, yeah, we're taking it from the ruling class and giving it to everyone. And then at the bottom, it was just for $8 a month.
Yeah,
so,
it's
since we mentioned Stephen King, can I?
Oh yeah, I want to talk about Stephen King too.
Can I say something about the quality of authors? And comparing him to J.K. Rowling. If you want to know,
can we talk about Chris's Tesla and compare it to my RC car?
Well, you want to know the quality of an author, they can put out a book, and you can put out books, and you can put out books under the same name, and you could put out a book and it has a good story, and you could sell books on the good story, and then after that you're just selling it on your name because you sold one on a good story. If you want to know if you're actually a good author, you put it out under a pen name. Stephen King did that, and he had #1 books under his pen name. And then I saw J.K. Rowling did that, and her book was a flop. And then she leaked that it was by her later, like a year later, and then it rocketed up. So, if that wants to tell you about her writing quality versus Stephen King writing quality. And I think he's actually had multiple pen names that have all gone to number one, like unannounced. You didn't know it was him. That's how phenomenal of an author he is.
His original pen name was Richard Bachman, in case anyone's curious.
Yeah.
So I'd never read any of his books before, and in 6th grade, I read Pet Sematary, and that has scarred me for life. I've never read another of his books, and I'm still terrified of pets and cemeteries ever since. And children.
Well, yeah, children is a given. Children are terrifying.
I just needed to get
That's
that on the
funny,
record.
though.
Finally tell this story to the masses, because it was a horrifying experience. Book.
Yeah.
I'm eternally scarred.
Yeah. He's yeah. Phenomenal. Amazing author. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't see.
I've been thinking about that for so long, and I was just like, we're talking about Stephen King. I gotta get that in there.
Yeah, overall, I don't see much changing. I think it's going to be a lot of status quo. There's going to be some hiccups at the top. I think that X is going to come out and it's going to do to Twitter what Meta did to Facebook. And just sink it. I think when companies take on too much and try to do so much, they end up doing everything a little more poorly each rendition. Google is running through that. I mean, you just look at their graveyard to see that happen. And there was someone asked me the other day, what new thing of Google that wasn't either developed or established 10 years ago is successful?
Yeah. I mean,
or do we even use
has anything been successful outside of ads? Like, the only thing that sustains Google is ads. Android is free, though. They didn't make it, they just bought it. Like, it's not successful for Google to build Android except to sell more ads through it. That's the only reason they have it around.
That is true. I would then say but it's all about ads. Yeah, even Gmail and everything else, it's all ad supported. So yeah, I think that's everything is built, but they're not trying to hide that fact either.
No.
I mean, that is the one big difference, and I don't mind it coming from Google because they don't try to pretend that it's not. They're very upfront about what it is.
I hear people all the time tell me they don't trust Google because Google sells your data, and that's not correct, because right now our digital footprints are the most valuable things for these companies. Like, they're not going to sell your data. They're selling a profile of you that no one else gets to see, and you just have to trust Google's black box that your ads are being served directly. Like, that's how they make money. Whether it's a good target or a bad target, no one knows, because they're the ones telling you if it's a good target or a bad target. Like, it's ingenious in a way how much it prints money.
Yeah. Well, and I think people misunderstand when they hear that your data is being sold. They don't understand most people don't understand what that even means. They think that it is name, address, everything you've ever typed.
Well,
that stuff. And that's not exactly, demographics are being sold, but not connected to, it's a separate release. It's not like they're getting a dossier on each individual person when you buy the data.
That is what you're buying.
Yeah,
there are companies that sell that.
There are companies that sell that. Google is not selling individual dossiers to data mine companies.
Yeah.
They're selling
like
demographic data. They're selling that.
what they're
selling access of ads to individuals, but they're not selling the individuals out.
What they're saying to advertisers is that, hey, we have Dave and Brian here, and they don't actually use our real names. They're like, hey, we have these two kind of middle-aged white guys. They like thick thighs. What do you guys have for ads that appeal to that? And the advertisers go, hey, here's this ad, and it has thick thighs in it. And then Google goes, hey, Brian and Dave, here's this ad. It has thick thighs in it. We thought you would like that.
Yeah. I want to talk. Sorry. I want to talk really quick.
Go for it.
I think people don't understand the absurdity of the Google ad engine. Google doesn't tell the advertiser what the demographics they're like. The advertiser tells Google kind of the demographics that they're targeting, and those ads get served to supposedly the right demographics, but Google doesn't tell you that at all. Like, they say your ads have been served to so many people, pay up. Like, I feel like that's the most absurd part of how this whole product works, is the person that sells you the space isn't telling you what the space is, what's getting targeted. They tell you none of that. Just sell it and tell you how much you owe. Supposedly sell it. I guess you can't even you can't even prove that you targeted anyone. You just have to pay.
Yeah, people look at it as like buying ad space for the Super Bowl, where okay, the Super Bowl is going to be watched by majority of males ages 18 to 56 or whatever it is, and that's going to be the majority. So they tailor make an ad for the Super Bowl. They buy it for that. That's not the way online advertising works at all. That is, analog advertising and online advertising are two totally different beasts in how it is given, presented, and curated.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people just don't understand that.
Because it's absurd.
And so it causes a lot of problems.
It's absurd when you think about it, really. And this isn't a Google thing. Facebook's ad thing is the same exact way, and they also print money from it. I mean, not enough to sustain themselves, but at this point. But
if you really want to know how it all works, go sign up at Google AdSense, and that'll show you all of the criteria that you can target in ads. It can get a little complicated because you can pinpoint areas and you can pinpoint demographics, but you don't really see overly specific things. You can pick out age ranges and genders and such, but certain kind of interests.
Yeah,
and if somebody
data profiles
really
and
wants to
personal
learn
profiles are very different.
Yeah, if somebody really wants to learn what kind of info Google would have on them, that's probably the best thing they could do is go set up an AdSense profile and go poke around and see how it's used themselves.
Absolutely.
But, and that's since we're talking about ads, that's going to be the thing to watch with Twitter, is what the advertisers are doing. I know they already lost GM, and that was kind of a no-brainer because now it's owned by the owner of Tesla. So I imagine a lot of the car companies will probably just drop right off. So, and I don't know. It comes down to the people that bitch about I always wonder there's people that were bitching about, oh, Google's not putting my competitive Yelp. Google's not advertising my Yelp ad on Google Maps. Like, well, why the hell would they want to advertise Yelp inside of Google Maps? Like, why would you sue them to do that? Like, why would you want to walk into Walmart and see an ad for Kmart or Meijer? Like, that wouldn't make sense. You know? Like, that comes down to the same thing. Like, all the car manufacturers are going to drop off. That's going to be a pretty big chunk of change they're going to lose probably instantly. GM dropped off like within a couple of days. I saw L'Oreal dropped off already.
I think the exodus is a response to the smoke and not. I think it's a knee-jerk response because people got upset. And I think when people start getting upset, whether it's justified or not, advertisers get squirmish.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're kind of seeing. I'm not saying that it's completely unjustified, but I don't think it is. I think that companies, especially when dealing with advertisements, tend to be very knee-jerk.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're seeing.
Well, they have to be because it also is a form of brand representation. You don't want your brand next to things you don't want represented, you know.
Yeah.
Bunch of racial.
Yeah, but once again, we've seen that type of behavior before, and it gets curtailed very quickly. And, no policies have actually changed yet. It's just the perception of. And just like in politics, perception becomes reality.
Yeah.
No moderation rules have changed on Twitter since the turnover. But that's what people are all talking about.
Yeah.
There's been no policy changes made, but yet that's what people seem to be assuming is happening.
I don't know. Lost their content moderation tools.
No, they lost a CEO. They lost a VP that was making millions of dollars doing a shit job, according to Musk. Uh-oh. But yeah. I don't know. I think I think there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions going on that is not fully emblematic of what is truly happening.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Causation, correlation, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But advertisers have been known to do that anyway. Something seems to be going in a certain direction, whether it is or isn't, and advertisers get squeamish.
Yeah. And
because
they could just bail because they don't like him as a person too. And that's fair. So.
Well, and if something is controversial, whether or not it is actually an endorsement of a platform or not, people are going to think that because you advertise on a platform, you're endorsing it.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, YouTube had the adpocalypse for a bit when something happened and everyone kind of freaked out, hit the panic button, and then they realized, don't need to really panic about this, and it kind of went back to being somewhat fine.
Well, there was like 3 adpocalypses, and Google had policy, or YouTube had policy changes after that to help the advertisers come back.
So I think this is a knee-jerk in. I think there'll be changes made. I don't think people like Musk became a billionaire because they threw away money making stupid decisions. Well, whether or not we agree with the decisions or not, billionaires maintain being billionaires because they don't throw money away.
I think, in my opinion, there was a timeline where he came in and said the bird is free, and there was chaos. Then he lost 2 big advertisers, and then he went, "Oh shit," and then walked it back immediately, and then things got cleaned up real quick.
Well, and
So
going back to my original connection there, I mean, 4chan and Anonymous, you've got Lulsec that will spew out the most hatred, vitriol, and anti-Semitic crap and all that stuff. And 3 months later, they're helping lead helping with the Egyptian Revolution and the Arab Spring and assisting with that, or going after Scientology. And so it's like the same people are capable of both things. And that is who Musk is. He is one of those types of people.
Yeah.
He's going to say what he says, and then he's going to attempt to do what he thinks is either right or wrong or whatever, but there's a disconnect between the two a lot of times.
Yeah.
He also understands that popped headlines make for eyeballs.
Yep.
So screaming the bird is free gives someone, 2 different groups, 2 very different thoughts about what that means.
Yeah. He runs on Streisand effect.
Yep.
Do we talk about
and always has. I mean, just look at the history of Starship or BFG and all that stuff. I mean, this is nothing new out of the playbook of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Do we talk about the lawsuit?
Which one?
When he tried to back out of buying Twitter and they sued him to make him buy it.
Oh,
my favorite part. All right, so it's a boring lawsuit. Obviously, he ended up buying it. My favorite part was he had 3 different data science firms come in and try, because his original claim was that Twitter lied to him and the public about active user accounts that were bots, right? So that was his claim, right? And so they have 3 firms come in and analyze Twitter's data and come up with that Twitter was generally correct in their estimates. 2 of them said that. One firm said with 80% confidence interval that their percentage was like 1% higher in bot traffic. So he has a 3-hour hearing where him and his lawyers have to present this to the court that with an 80% confidence interval. And then a couple days later, he announced that he was buying Twitter. And just that whole saga that happened in court was probably the funniest thing that I've watched in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like every company, because that's why they calculate monthly daily active users. Like it's a really specific number that it's the same thing every company does, right? They're lying with numbers in a way that's not legally, technically lying. And so trying to challenge that in court, you're not going to win.
No.
But
I think that this whole thing was Elon decided he was going to just spout off and someone called his bluff.
Yeah.
And he had to go through with it then. At some point, when you make an official offer as a bluff, because no one thought that the shareholders would ever go for it, and then they shocked everyone. They were like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds good. Let's do that."
Yeah, I mean,
it was a stock pumping dump. It was the same shit he did with Doge and Shiba.
I think he was trying to stir up the market a bit, and someone finally decided to call his bluff. And I don't think he ever wanted to or intended on purchasing Twitter ever.
Which is very funny.
And I think that he realized that words have consequences and actions have consequences in one of the most hilarious ways ever.
That's a good way to put it. I agree.
So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that we're about due for a new evolution of social media anyway. It kind of tends to flow in 10 to 15 year chunks. And I see, about 15 years ago was when Facebook and the post that way kind of rose to fame. MySpace kind of took over from what Geocities and Angel Fire kind of started with, having your own unique pages in. Facebook took the idea of those pages and made kind of centralized profiles. Twitter was kind of on the forefront of the whole micro posting type, scaled it back even further to you have a profile and just whatever you decide to say. You've got audio visual stuff. Instagram is, because Facebook is starting to fall off very slowly, but it's starting to fall off and has been barely replaced mostly by TikTok. And it's just we're due for another evolutionary change of the way we deal with social media.
Hopefully in a more healthy way this time.
With each one, the current up and trending generation has kind of dictated how that goes. So it's all going to be on how Gen Z decides to deal with social media and how they want to deal with all of that for a bit. For good, for bad, for other, that's kind of the way it's going to go, I think.
Chris, where are we going?
I mean, right now it's just TikTok. Like just video content. Like short, medium length.
Putting my eggs in your basket, bud.
Let's go.
Let's go.
But because I think there's a place for video content and there's a place for text-based content. And I'm just not sure where the text-based content goes. But I hope it goes in a more healthy way. Like, I have the opinion that's like my hot take that I tell people to shock people is that I think Silicon Valley was all a mistake and our entire technological age has made us worse off as a species, which is shocking. And it's a lot more nuanced than that, but I like to shock people by saying that. Maybe we'll have to get into that some other time. But like with the insecurities that pop up, because you have like a couple different platforms, right? You have Instagram for photo content, which leads to a lot of insecurities around image and like you have a fake persona. You have TikTok, which is kind of similar in the same way, but also TikTok is full of just people lying to you. And that kind of pisses me off. Like someone will just like say something and you're like, well, that can't be true. And then it's not true. But then it has like 3 million likes and you're like, oh no. But then there's also like text-based content leads to the same kind of disinformation, but like state actor wise and other people trying to control a narrative, especially on Twitter. Twitter is not great in the sense that 280 characters and threading is not a great way to make a point. And so it's a lot of just like one-liner dunking on people and losing all the nuance. And Facebook has a lot of issues with it just generally being a bad platform and algorithms spewing hate and spreading hate in very quick ways. And another problem is it's massive, like it's absolutely massive. And so content moderation is almost impossible. And then also the work we put into human moderation across all the platforms is just destroying people's mental states. So I hope it ends up in a much healthier way wherever we're going next.
You gotta find some of the good creators on TikTok. Like I follow three Green.
Yeah.
Follow Hank Green, John Green, and Tom Green.
Sure.
I'm here for them.
Sure. But like the problem is it's not just gonna be content of people I follow when I'm scrolling.
Yeah, yeah. You get on the FYP and there's all sorts of nonsense.
And like it's quick form content that you're scrolling through, so like I can't fact check every single thing I say or that gets said to me. I don't know. It's rough.
Yep. You gotta just stick to the booty shaking, Chris. That's what it was made for in the first place.
That's true. Good advice.
I think you missed the point of the TikTok in the first
I think
place.
so. I mean, I got banned, so
Just
obviously I missed the point, I guess.
Yeah, just stick to my TikTok. That's good.
I can talk all day about this stuff, so cut me off whenever.
Oh yeah. I was about ready to wrap everything up. I think it's going to be an interesting next, I would say, 3 to 5 years in the social media world to see where things are kind of going. Like I said, I think historically we're due for a change, and it's just going to be seeing how that change comes, and we can kind of see it, with Meta collapsing. Facebook has already pretty much gone out the window. There's a lot of mistrust coming through in TikTok wise of who owns it, who runs it, what the data is, what's going on with that. And I think that those types of things and those types of questions are going to continue no matter what. And so I don't know what the solution is going to end up being. I don't know what the answer is. Anytime that you have mass groups or collective groups, you've got problems with this. We had it in print media for years. We've had these issues in every form of medium of controlling narratives, who controls the information. That's one of the reasons why a free press was ingrained into the Constitution of the United States, was because the people that controlled the information push out could twist it any way they wanted to. And it was so prevalent in the 1700s that part of the benchmark of making a new country was making sure that the government did not control the flow of information in the media. So this isn't anything new. This isn't unique to social media. This has been around as long as information gets from groups of people to groups of people. This has been an issue and has been a discussion point. And so knowing that, how do we deal with the nuance changes and the balance from there, I guess. It's not new with social media. It's never going away. Controlling information has always been a massive thing.
Yeah.
So I tend to be hopeful that the generations coming can be more, that they realize that they can have a bigger say than what Gen Xers or even my generation kind of figured it out a little bit. But I don't think the Gen Zs and the younger generations, I don't think they are going to be quite as passive as we were.
Hopefully not.
And I think that's going to be a good thing, because they're more apt to call bullshit and do something about it. I mean, that's why people joke around, they're the fuck around and find out generation. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, that's you. That's you, Chris.
Well, I'm technically between generations. I'm a lost soul. I'm just here for the ride and the drama.
Yeah, well,
So I'm
My generation read the Anarchist Cookbook, and so now we can teach you guys how to make the napalm.
so we
Overall,
Elon,
all I'm going to end it with for my end is I'm hopeful that things will continue to change and nothing will just remain what they are at this current point.
so I'm glad Elon Musk can't become president, right? Where's he from?
South Africa.
Okay. I thought he was from Madagascar.
It's a very two different places.
Madagascar. Oh, that's fun.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Find him on Hallway Transgressions. I'll make sure to get the link to that in our description so you can look him up. It's violently against Christianity and all Christians.
No.
That's not quite fair.
No.
We're not going to push that.
It's a good discussion on a different Christianity podcast. So it's a good podcast. I've listened to all the episodes. I think I'm caught up.
Yeah, it comes out when I feel like editing an episode. I think I'm sitting on a couple right now. It's fine. But yeah, no, it's just a discussion about Christianity where it becomes a problem and different ways to think about religion in general and be more open-minded.
Yay.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, anytime.
We'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, see you guys next week.